guys know what wet hair means. We are getting ready together for the day. And today we are doing a wear test of a new foundation that I am so excited about. It kind of crept up out of nowhere. Like one day we learned Natasha Denona was launching her new powder foundation, and then the next it was available. So I got it yesterday in the mail. It's the Natasha Denona HyGlam Powder Foundation. I ordered it off of the Natasha Denona website. They have really fast shipping for me, but you can also pick this up on Ulta if you want to utilize the points. So I will have both linked down below for you. So a little bit about this guy. It is $55. There is a similar powder recently that launched around this price point, but this one is an actual powder foundation. So I think you're getting a little bit more of your money's worth here. There are 36 different shades, and this is talc free. It's the HyGlam powder foundation, and it has blurring flex technology. Okay, don't know what that means. It's a hybrid powder that delivers a poreless, oil-controlled second skin finish while caring for your skin. And when they say caring, they mean it protects skin against environmental stressors, supports skin's natural elasticity and hydration, and anti-inflammatory properties. These are the claims that they have on the website, obviously. Also interesting about this is a refillable pan now. The price is a lot better. What is it? The refillable pan is $39 versus $55. So once you run out, you easily repurchase it for a little less money, which is great. Here's what the box looks like. The product is made in Italy and it has 12.5 gram weight. If you want to take a look at the back, feel free to pause, read what you have to read. Here's the actual component. It matches with the HyGlam concealer, and it has like a soft matte touch. The back has some airing for the sponge that they have in here. It's a magnetic closure. You have a mirror right here, and then the powder, and it's one of those where you lift it and there's a sponge underneath. I used the sponge yesterday. This is a second impressions technically. Has a place for you to put your finger. This is a little stiff. I'm not going to use it for application today. It took too long yesterday when I used it, and it like scratched my face. Not that it's not soft, but I like my own personal tools better, but I will keep this in here for touch-ups throughout the day if I have to take this on the go. Let's see, how do you take this pan out? I imagine you just, yeah, if you just push it out, it should come out. Like I said, I did test this yesterday and I slapped it on without any skin prep to see how it worked, because sometimes you just gotta slap a product on and head out the door. I had a very good first impression, so I'm really excited to see with proper prep what this product can do. So I've already put on my new favorite SPF, the St. Jane Luxury Skin Ritual Pore Smoothing SPF 30. And then I'm going to put on, for some extra hydration, the Too Faced Hangover Replenishing Face Primer. I used to be a regular powder foundation wearer. When I was a teacher, I only wore powder foundation because I just felt like it held up the best for doing such a physical job. So I'm going to give you my best tips, because even if you have dry skin like me, do not be afraid of powder foundation. So my rule of thumb, if you have dry skin, make sure you hydrate very well. I've done the moisturizer, I have the hydrating SPF, and I'm using the hydrating Too Faced Hangover RX. And this will also give the powder foundation something to stick to. Now you can go in with a heavier, stickier base like the Milk Makeup Grip Primer, the e.l.f. version of that. Whatever sticky base you have, that will give you maximum coverage. So if you're looking for the fullest coverage with a powder foundation, go with a grippy primer. The catch to that though is it's a little bit harder to blend and spread, so you're really going to be patting and packing it on. If you're going for something a little bit more natural, don't go in with a sticky base. I didn't today, I didn't yesterday either, and I was really happy with the results. I don't feel like this product needs a sticky base for me. It's getting closer. My next tip for powder foundation is to do your liquid concealer first. I'm using the matching Natasha Denona HyGlam concealer. I'm using the shade N5 in the concealer. I wish I had N3 in the concealer, because that's what I purchased for the powder foundation, but that's okay. I'm just going to put this on the under eyes. Now, if you are especially not using a grippy primer and you want more coverage, I recommend spot concealing as well. Like normally I would spot conceal this angry man I have on my face right now, but I want to show you how the foundation would cover something like that. So I'm not going to today, but normally I would. I recall a few years ago doing a video on like what I need Natasha Denona to come out with, and one of my requests was for her to revamp and redo her complexion line, and she's doing it, and she's doing a great job because she used to be only eyeshadows. That was like her bread and butter, and it still is, but she's coming out with really good competitive complexion products. And if you aren't familiar with the line, the HyGlam concealer, I want to say was like the best concealer that launched in 2023. So many people love this. Like I said earlier, I did pick up the shade N3. Now this coverage wise, what they claim is this is a medium buildable coverage, but you can get a lightweight and natural finish, and it's also a matte finish. All things considered, some people think powder foundation doesn't give coverage. It does. There's lots of powder foundations that can. So what's best to apply? I didn't care for the sponge that they gave. You can also just use your own sponge, like this one from Amazon. Now brushes, there's two different kind of brushes I would recommend. One is like a dense flat top kabuki. This is the Sigma F80. This is great for maximum coverage. You definitely want to do a little bit more patting motions. This one from Dibs is also amazing. It's a little bit softer, so it gives a lighter coverage than what the Sigma Flat Top Kabuki is going to give, but this is also a great option. I'm going to do half of my face with this because I hadn't tried it with this sponge yesterday, and then the other half I'm going to do with the Dibs brush. So let's get going. Lights are down so that you can see everything. So I'm actually going to just start off right on the problem child here to show you the coverage that you can get with this. That's pretty incredible for a powder foundation. Now, if you use a brush versus patting it on with a sponge like this, you're not going to get this level of coverage. The red will peek through, and if you continue to blend with the brush on top, the red will also peek through. But you can finish off with this as well, just using a sponge like this at the end after you apply it with a brush, and that will also give you amazing coverage. So I'm going to go a little bit lighter with how I press in the pan for the under eyes. And they say it has this really blurring technology, and you guys, this powder, very, very blurring. I'm very impressed with how this powder blurs the skin. And then I'm just going in and using patting motions to spread the product out. You see how I went over top and it peeked through? I'm going to fix that at the end. And with a powder foundation, I don't recommend using like cream bronzer or blush or anything like that. It's going to be an all powder day. That's what's going to be best. And there you go. That is with this little sponge from Amazon. You can see it has like a good medium coverage. I don't think you can get quite super full, but you can get pretty close. And then I told you, after you're done doing that, go in over top one more time on the redness just to reduce it, or use your liquid concealer first before applying the foundation. But that looks so good. Do you see how smooth it is? It does look a little bit powdery, but it just needs to settle into the skin. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Now I'm going to use this Dibs brush. It's a little bit softer, and you're going to get a little bit of a lighter coverage with this. But I used this yesterday on my bare skin, and it was great. So I'm just going to apply this everywhere. So first things first, we set the under eyes, and I'm just going to start patting this. And even with this brush, which is still dense, I'm not saying it's not dense, but it's a little bit softer than the sponge that we used, I'm still getting a nice amount of coverage with this, and I am layering this on. You can get more of a natural coverage with using less product and then blending it out. So you can see like a little bit more redness is peeking through, but nothing that's bothersome. And then you can use your sponge if you want to kind of spot conceal. But I hope you guys are seeing this. This coverage, really nice. The skin looks really soft. I think it does a nice job blurring even on the under eyes, which a pressed powder can be tricky with on the under eyes. I think it looks really nice. So now at this point, it's time to finish up the makeup. Bronzer, blush, highlight, whatever. Keep it powder. If you use liquid or cream, it can mess it up. Let's see, for bronzer today, I'm digging into the good old Gucci Beauty #1 bronzer. I'm going to use the other side of my dibs brush. It's really big and fluffy just to get the bronze going because we're very, very flat right now since all of my face, even my under eyes, is one color. So a little bit of color was definitely needed to add some dimension to the face. And then I'll just use the same brush, and then I'm going into the Valentino Beauty #7 blush, just a peachy blush. And you could do some powder highlight if you want a little bit more glow. What happened here? I'll have to fix that. But this Valentino blush isn't completely flat, so it is adding a little bit of glow to my face. I don't know what happened here. I'm just going to use my powder foundation sponge to go over top. And then the last step I'd recommend for powder foundation, especially if you have dry skin, is to use a setting spray. So if you have oily skin, honestly, I wouldn't even bother with setting spray unless it's looking a little bit powdery on the skin because your natural oils are going to come through and take care of it. If your skin doesn't produce as much oil, take any setting spray, a dewy one. Make sure it's not like a drying one or a long-lasting one. I'm using the e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray. This will help the powders melt into the skin to look more natural. The mist on this one is so fine. I feel like I can't even feel it. And this will kind of soak the powder into the skin to make it look much more skin-like. Okay, well that dries. I'm going to do the eyes and the lips and I'll be back to show you the progress. Close up, here is how the makeup is looking. I think it looks so pretty, especially like setting spray on dry skin will always seal the deal when it comes to powder foundation, but don't be scared of powder foundation if you have dry skin. So far on this first little bit of wear here, I think every claim that they've made is true. Matte finish, medium buildable, it still feels lightweight, it's flexible, it blurs the appearance of pores. Now I can still see some pores here, but I think overall my skin looks really blurred. So all of the claims are true to this. I'm going to show you the wear as the day goes on. I'm going to show you how it looks on my iPhone as well. But I hope this performs as good as it did yesterday because I really feel like we have a winner here, you guys. It's a rainy day today, so not the best natural light, if any at all. But I wanted to show you on my iPhone. Gosh! It looks so good. It's been a while since I've worn powder foundation. I'm like, why did I ever stop? This Natasha Denona powder is going to get me back into powder foundation. Oh, love it. All right, guys, here we are. Four and a half, I want to say. Let me check. Yeah, 4.5 hours later, I want to give you my midway check-in. I see something I want to touch up. Grab that. So coming close, let's take a look. So I want to talk about the under eyes here. I do notice that it did get pretty creasy, and I don't have that much of an issue with the HyGlam concealer. I think it's a thick concealer and a thick powder foundation because yesterday I wore this powder with a really thin concealer, the Makeup Forever HD Skin one, and it did not crease like this. So I'm thinking, you know, if you're wearing a thicker concealer, it might be best to go in with a thinner under eye powder, or, you know, I didn't apply the lightest amount. So maybe if I had applied a lighter amount, it would have been less. But since this is my second time wearing it, I am letting you know that with a thinner concealer, and I didn't use a sponge to really apply it, I just used a brush, so it was a thinner layer of powder, we got less creasing. Good to know, because I do like the way that this looks on the under eyes. It didn't touch up very well though. It looks a little bit textured after messing with that. But anyways, other than that, I think the skin looks really good. It did go into the smile lines a little bit over here, but that's that. that happens with almost every foundation. And then I feel like the color did fade down here, and it is starting to break up a little bit here, but that's because I had Korean barbecue, and you know, hot in your face, you're a mess eating it. So mostly it would be my choice of lunch here today, but I still think overall it looks really good. I saw my mom, who you know is my makeup inspo. She's the reason why I do what I do, and she said it looked really, really good. It's quite matte. I think that this is going to be a great product for all skin types, even oily for sure, and even dry skin really, because powder foundations are better for oily skin, but if you have dry skin, it doesn't look dry on me. It looks really nice. My skin of late has been really picky, so here's the update. I think it's still looking really good. We do have some areas that aren't as fresh looking as we applied, but you know, that's me looking into a magnetized mirror. I have 2 professional studio lights, my HD camera, giving away all my secrets, but I feel perfectly presentable taking a step back. My skin looks even, it looks smooth, it looks poreless, it doesn't look powdery. I am still loving this. My mom asked me a question that I know a lot of you are going to ask me: how does this compare to the Makeup Forever foundation? Because that's kind of my standard when it comes to powder foundation. I definitely think it's up there with the Makeup Forever. I think the next time I wear this tomorrow, I'm going to do a side-by-side, so make sure you're following me on Instagram, because that should be today. If I can remember. If not today, then another day, I will do a side-by-side, and you'll hear about it in another video for sure, but that's definitely up next to test. So anyways, I'm going to see you at the end of the day to see where we're sitting at. Alright, it is officially 10:08 in the evening, so I've worn this for a full like 9 hours. Since the last check-in, I will admit I didn't do the most strenuous activity. I've just been doing things around the house, laundry, dishes, cleaning up rooms, that kind of stuff. So nothing to make me break a sweat today on this rainy day. But I will say, since the last wear test update, nothing has changed. It pretty much looks the exact same. I touched the zit, so I rubbed the powder off. So that's my fault. Still a little obviously broken up in this area, but nothing too much worse. I mean, at this point my skin is starting to look a little bit drier naturally, as I do have dry skin with a lot of powder. So at this point, in terms of touch-up, let's see what a little bit of setting powder can do. So you guys, remember, are looking at me in a very zoomed-in HD camera with professional studio lights. So you might be seeing some unflattering things happen, but I'm telling you, every time I've passed a mirror, just like IRL, no crazy studio lights, no HD, high-tech, very expensive camera, my skin looks so good. I just think I'm not used to the matte powder look. It's flattering. I'm gonna take a little bit of the e.l.f. Dewy Setting Spray and see if we can bring this back to life. See if that does anything. How I feel about this setting spray, by the way, is it's decent. I think the mist is a little too fine for my needs, but it does do a nice shot of hydration. So this is good, and it's affordable, you know, e.l.f. Probably not my favorite. I have some glowy setting sprays that are very impactful and just make a difference right away, and I love it. This is definitely softer. But let's give this a little bit to dry. Oh my gosh. So if you have dry skin and you're concerned about powder foundation, at least this one, if you use setting spray once or twice throughout the day, if you're looking a little bit dry, I feel like that brought it literally back to life. It's much more flexible again when I smile. Oh my gosh, okay. I'm back on powder foundation. Thank you, Natasha Denona. Honestly, I love this product. The only thing really that I can think of negative to say is it was a little heavy on the under eyes, but it wasn't heavy on my under eyes yesterday. So moving forward, when I use this on the under eyes, I will be mindful of what product I use underneath and lightly set, probably with like a brush or something instead of my heavy sponge that I was using before, because this doesn't look bad under the eyes. This formula really is blurring, but I think it's just too thick for an area with a lot of movement. I love it. I think if you have oily skin, you'll love it even more. I know powder foundation isn't as popular, but this is my time to remind you that powder foundations are great and they don't necessarily look like you got powder all over your face. I find it to be much more flexible, much more flattering, wear down a lot more flattering, a lot easier and quicker to apply. And I think a powder foundation makes a lot of sense for those of you guys, you busy individuals who just need to slap something on. And though I did my prep today, I told you yesterday I didn't do any prep. I slapped it on just as the average person probably does. And it looked a little drier yesterday, but it still looked fine. So I'll give this, well, I don't want to give it a number ranking until I compare it to Makeup Forever, because that normally puts things into perspective. But I really have nothing but rave reviews about this product. I think Natasha Denona killed it. I'm so happy to see where her complexion line is going, because she's really getting there. Such an improvement from the complexion line a long time ago. So thank you, Natasha, for bringing some much needed attention to powder foundations. If you tried this foundation out, let me know your thoughts down below. Are you with me? Are you against me? I want to hear it, and thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, found it helpful. If you've tried it, make sure you share your skin type down below as well. Forgot to mention that, but I'll catch up with you guys in the next video. Bye guys, have a good one.